Hello, Chippy. How are we doing? And Riley and Indu.
Hi, Steve. How are you this morning?
Very good,
Again, well,
thank you.
afternoon to you. Good,
Yeah,
thank
look, I'm
you.
sorry about all the disasters that you've been dealing with over the last few weeks. My huge sympathies, Chippy. I'm just really appreciative of you being here today. Thank you very much.
Not to worry, Steve. You guys have been kind, so I am well. Thank you for
You're
asking.
such a positive person. I'm really intimidated by it, but thank you very much. You've to have you here. One little thing I'm having a little issue with is trying to make the slides big enough to write on, but when I take control, but perhaps I can deal with that then.
No problem. Let's just see.
Someone wants to join, I think, admit. So I've got to take control, right? And then I just want to, so basically what happens, it's small like that. So I want to scribble on it like that, but
hmm
can I make the slide bigger?
Let's try and do that. I'll also ask Riley to help
No,
in the
no, Riley's
background.
here. He's Mr. Can Do. So I just want to take back. Jesus Christ. The face is busy already, eh? Okay,
If
that's big.
Riley can
That's big
help, then
enough.
all
Yeah,
as
that's
well.
fine. It was just smaller when I was there, but
All right, can't hear anyone anymore. Can anyone hear
Can you
me?
hear? Can you
I
hear
can
me,
hear
Indu?
you,
I can
Indu.
hear
Yep.
you.
Okay,
I can hear you very much, and you don't.
that's good.
You're around. Chippy, can you clean off my mess on the screen there?
Really a mess. It doesn't it add character?
I know, I've just scribbled on there with a red slider across the screen there.
Okay, let me just do
Doesn't matter,
that.
no, it doesn't matter. It probably gives a bit of authenticity to the presentation.
I was saying it adds character. You guys able to see the slides up on the screen?
Yeah, well, no worries.
Thank you.
You have to admit people because it's before the starting time. Is that
Yeah,
probably?
so when people join, we admit them. So it depends if there's one, you can
Ah,
admit one at a time, but you can also admit all if there's a lot of participants looking to
oh,
join the
right.
session at the same time.
Oh, okay, that's good.
Okay. That is our time. Good morning, everyone, or good morning from my end. My name is Tepiso, and I am the marketing assistant at EIT, the South African office. I'd like to officially welcome you to the Engineering Institute of Technology's Virtual Open Week. We hope that you are going to enjoy this session. This is the first session out of many. You can go ahead and register for as many as you would like. We would be happy to have you with us for the remainder of the week. To kick things off, please take note of the notification and slides tab that's up on your screen. This is so that you are able to mute or you are able to make sure that you do not hear the sounds of people joining the session. You can just look up on the screen, click on the settings tab, and you'll be able to enable or disable sounds as much as you like. So as I've mentioned, this is the Virtual Open Week 2024, and this session is why the Engineering Institute of Technology, or YEIT in short. As I've mentioned, I will be your host, and the session will be presented by our Dean and Deputy Dean, Dr. Steve Mackay, as well as Indumathi. Thank you so much for joining us, guys. So common questions and FAQs. So we will have a FAQ, frequently asked questions session, at the end of this webinar. There will be a copy of the slides as well as the recordings that will be sent to everyone who registered for the webinar. They'll be sent to your email addresses at the end of this session. Please make sure to check your emails, including your junk, spam, and promotional folders. All these details will be found there, and the video recording will be sent by Monday, the 21st of October, 2024. Please make sure to monitor your spam folders. So today's presenter, as I've mentioned, is Dr. Steve Mackay. He's EIT's Dean of Engineering, as well as Dr. Indumathi. They will be presenting this session. Please note that we will have a Q&A session at the end. So if you have any questions, you are more than welcome to put them up on the Q&A portion or the chat box. I'll be sure to monitor it for the duration of this webinar, and then we will have a session at the end. Thank you so much for joining us, guys. Without further ado, I will let Steve and Indu take you through today's presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Tabiso. Really wonderful to be here. And I'm calling in from Perth. And my good colleague Indu is here as well. She's just fresh from dealing with a examination board meeting where she was critiquing some of our graduates or graduates to be. And I think she can join in a tick. And obviously, Riley, architect here in Perth for the sessions, and obviously Leah marketing also doing amazing things. So I really appreciate it very much. So I just want to obviously just give a bit of background to the session. I don't know, Indu, are you around? Do you want to say hi as well?
Hi, everyone. Hopefully you all can hear me. And yeah, I'll be joining Steve with the presentation today, talking about why EIT, why engineering, and some of our online learning and teaching methodologies as well.
Yeah, so thanks very much, Indu. And Indu will introduce herself in a tick with her slide. So it's a little bit chaotic, the presentation, but as Riley rightly points out, we need authenticity, mate, authenticity. And I notice my critique, there's a little critique that they do. We did a presentation at 8 o'clock this morning, Perth time, and the critique said, Steve, you talk too fast and you're too repetitive, which I was quite intrigued by. I don't know what Indu had on her. Did you, hopefully you looked at your critique this morning, Indu. Did it tell you what a naughty person you were?
I haven't seen any. Maybe I should.
Okay, well, there's a critique waiting for you. Anyway, I was repetitive. I apologize. I won't be repetitive today. I'll try and avoid that. So really, I mean, there's not much to say about my career. I've been around for 40 years in engineering, probably too long. I am passionate about engineering education. I love engineering education. And I'm so grateful to be surrounded by such incredible people around us. I suppose my number one driver is number one driver is basically curiosity. I love finding out new things, and I'm just so grateful that engineering is a very fast-changing world. So lots of change, and I'm also, there's a very famous merchant in South Africa who headed up Pick and Pay, a guy called Raymond Ackerman, and he said to me 40 years ago in the business course I was doing, he said the most important thing in any business is sovereignty of your clients. In other words, sovereignty of the students, and that's always a big driver for me. So I'm going to pass it to Indu so she can introduce herself. I'll just change the slide, Indu. There you are. If you can introduce yourself.
Thank you, Steve. Hi, everyone. I'm Indu, the Deputy Dean at EIT. I've got a background in engineering as well as education, and I've been in the industry for over 20 years, both in the vocational education and training here in Western Australia, Perth, as well as in the higher education sector. I get involved in a lot of program design and accreditation, so my key thing is to make sure that the programs that we design are useful for the graduates, which are up to date and current for the industry. And that's one of the main drivers. And I find that engineers are central point to the economy as well as architecture of the world. So I love engineering. Thank you, Steve.
Thanks so much, Indu. So we'll tic-tac-toe, as they say in the parlance. If I want to be with it, I'll use that. Tic-tac-toe, Indu will jump in, interrupt me, and I'll probably interrupt her more than necessary. So really, we'll try and make it as interesting as possible for everyone. And obviously, we'd like to have lots of points of discussion. If you have any points to make, please talk. And I notice we've got lots of people joining us, lots of tic-tac-toeing as people join us. So really, we've been around about since the early 90s, 92. And we've been running short courses all over the world. And then about 2008, we decided that the online model was the way to go, because we noticed with great interest that online education is the way to go. And that's certainly been borne out over the years, providing initially short diplomas and then gradually building into degrees and short courses. And we've got the great thing, I suppose, about what we do is we try and use the latest online technologies, and Indu will certainly give you a bit of a rundown on that. But also, we have a very diverse crew of instructors, and even better, we have 160 countries, students from 160 countries. I mean, it's just absolutely amazing and lovely to see students from Barbados to Sudan to Meekatharra or Kalgoorlie, or even Invercargill in South New Zealand, or even a guy doing a Master of Industrial Automation from Detroit in America. So it's fantastic. And we are growing slowly over the years. And we probably at any point we've probably got about 6,000 students a year, so it's quite a good solid number of students. We've also won quite a lot of awards. Just won an export award because most of our students, we've got probably about 30-40% of the students in Australia. The rest are from the other 159 countries, so it's a great place to be. Indu can probably talk about EIT here. I'm going to pass it over to you, Indu. Maybe you can give us about EIT. Thanks.
Hi, everyone. Just wanted to give a touch base of who EIT are. I'm sure you all have looked at our website before you came to the virtual or open day. But some of the things that we are proud of is the fact that we are engineering specialists. So our focus is mainly on engineering and technology courses, and we offer courses ranging from professional certificate courses, which are short 3-month non-accredited courses, and then we've got the longer courses which are accredited, the diplomas, advanced diplomas, undergrad certificates, and all the way to a Doctor of Engineering. Because we specialize in purely engineering and technology, we can focus all our efforts into making sure these programs are, industry oriented. We contact industry from the beginning of program design. Like I said, I get involved intimately with the program design and accreditation. So we get the industry panels and our industry partners to provide feedback into our courses. They sit on our course advisory committees. They provide feedback on the softwares that we are supposed to, that will be useful for that particular course for the graduates coming out, the hardware that they need to know, and the critical things. For example, they have told us things like, students really need to understand critical thinking and problem solving. So perhaps, introduce a capstone project, feedback like that. So we work closely with industry partners to make sure our courses are suitable for the industry. And we also have a world-class accreditation. When I say world-class accreditation, our courses are recognized globally. Now, our programs, the accredited ones, are accredited under Australian government with TEXA and ASQA, so for vocational and higher education. I'll go through in detail towards the later part of the stage, specifically on these accreditations. But we also have industry body accreditations with Engineers Australia under the 3 International Engineering Alliance Accords, the Dublin, Sydney, and Washington Accords, and that gives our program global recognition as well as our students global mobility to, go and work in different parts of the world. Again, I'll cover in detail specifics of these courses, the ones that are accredited in later part of the session. And as Steve mentioned, we have industry experienced lecturers. And because we have a unique delivery model, we are able to take lecturers from pretty much any part of the world. We are not locked into geolocation. We can tap into the really good talent from different parts of the world. So you also get a really good global perspective on the different topics that you learn, as well as the experiences that the industry lecturers bring in, sharing with you the problems they face in the industry and how they went about solving it. So that's a little bit about EIT, and we'll go through in detail about some of the unique delivery models shortly.
Thanks so much, Indu. And I suppose I should just emphasize again, Indu's probably the main driver for the academic side of what we do. I tend to get distracted with other issues at EIT. She's the 100%, the real, let's call it the real McCoy when it comes to the academic side. So if you're looking for new courses, new ideas, talk to Indu. She's the one that makes them happen. And she'll tell you later, but we're self-accrediting, which means we can actually create our own courses. Obviously, it's a long, drawn-out process. You don't suddenly, hello, here's a course. It's a long, drawn-out process, but and we have to follow systems, and we have a board who allows us to proceed or not. So I just want to spend a few minutes talking about, before we go into EIT, I just want to say why doing an engineering qualification is a great decision. Now, there's no doubt if you want to get a degree, definitely do not do engineering. That'll be a complete waste of time in terms of sort of effort. Engineering is a hard discipline. There's no doubt about it. It's not easy. It's difficult. It requires a good ability with mathematics, and you've really got to be precise. So if you're more artistic and you want to talk about Greek philosophy or some other aspect, don't think about engineering. But if you want to be take the world and do something significant in your life, honestly couldn't find a better career than engineering. And I just really wanted to just spend a few minutes reflecting on why engineering is a good thing. It's tough, but hands-on, practical career. You only need to talk to some of the civil engineers working on bridges and dams and things like that. My brother-in-law is an engineer, Duncan, and hopefully he's not listening in today, but he's a partner of a very large engineering firm. And he says the most delightful thing for him is getting out into the bush, onto the roads, and looking at the camber of the road, and talking to the guys building the roads, and looking at stormwater dams and issues with the rains coming in. How will they impact on the road? He said it's a hands-on, great outdoors career. Remuneration is good. There's no doubt. As I said this morning, in the 80s when I was floating around Australia, for example, huge recession, everyone unemployed, good engineers, good technicians, technologists, all hugely busy. So it's definitely a good career with good income, even when the bad times come, because they still need people to do things. You can work anywhere in the world, unlike a doctor or a dentist or a lawyer. It's a bit more challenging. Engineering, whether you work in Houston or in Europe or in Australia, it's you can move quite quickly between different places. Obviously, different people, different tax systems, but engineering technology is very, very similar. And obviously, that is a very big plus because today we work in multicultural teams and work from all over the world. There's a terrible shortage of sort of people in the engineering area. So again, one of the things which I was quite amused by is that a lot of the big supermarket food chains were hiring engineers when they graduated because they felt they were very precise and very good at organizing logistics and stuff like that. So you've got a huge amount of opportunities because of the numerical precision you will get as an engineer. You can achieve something significant in your career. You only need to walk outside down a road as a construction engineer to see all the buildings you've put together. It's very It gives you huge pride. I used to get a bit of a kick out of an iron ore plant I built. Admittedly, over many years, I was only part of the team, but I could say, there's the plant we built. It's impressive. And processing. There's a power station with 5 Mars turbine gas turbines. That's stuff you've put in the ground, you've put together. You are supporting a city or a town with power, water. Those are exciting things to have as an engineer. You challenge, there's no doubt about it. It's novel, cutting edge. There's lots of stuff you need to think about. Big challenge. You can distinguish yourself from other engineers by what you do. You've got huge choices, and obviously you can create new industries. One of the guys that helped found EIT was a guy called Dick Morley. Some of you may not be familiar with him. He was based outside Boston in New England in the States, and he founded a $1 trillion business. He invented, admittedly after he said he had a real hangover in the morning. He walked in, and on the back of a piece of paper, he drew out the design for a programmable logic controller. And then a few weeks later, flew off to General Motors and said, hey, I've got an idea. And of course, a $1 trillion business founded, which is still around today. He's dead, but the business of PLCs is a critical tool which engineers use all over the place, including us. So you can do amazing things. I mean, the guys have won the AI awards for the Nobel prizes were physicists, engineers, and they founded a AI huge area of artificial intelligence. So there's amazing opportunities. One of the other comments that my critique did this morning, it said, Steve, you spoke too long without interacting. So I'm going to pass the baton now to my colleague Indu, who's going to talk a bit about lifelong learning. So you don't just hear my voice. There's lots of chatting going on the side here. Indu, do we need to answer some of these questions, or are they all been answered? What do you think?
There was one question which I've answered. There was a question about whether or not we have courses in energy. So I've provided a list of courses that we offer in the energy space. So yeah, there is quite a few that we've got, both in the non-accredited courses space, professional certificates, as well as in the accredited course space, both in the vocational sector and bachelor's and master's. So yeah, I would suggest the participants, if you want to have an understanding of specific courses, join some of our other sessions that happens this week, where we target and go deeper into advanced diplomas or professional certificates or our bachelor and master courses, and you can interact with the course coordinators to find out more about any other specific courses as well. So coming back to lifelong learning, so we have a lot of pathways for students to weave in and out of our courses. So, it doesn't matter whether you have done a Bachelor of Engineering and then you want to come and do a professional certificate to upskill yourself, or you have done an advanced diploma and you want to go up, skill up further to do a bachelor's or a master's degree. There's lots of pathways, and similarly, there's pathways, your entry requirements can come from various pathways. For example, you can come from a trade background with an advanced diploma or a vocational qualification background, and there's different courses you can undertake as an entry requirement. Or you can come from just finishing high school. There's some certain pathways you can go as a direct entry. Now, don't worry if you can't meet the direct entry that is mentioned in our website. Do contact our course advisors, and we can see, depending on the experience you've got, say, for example, you might not meet a direct entry for a program. We can then clearly set out a pathway for you to achieve that. So you might have to do an undergraduate certificate before you join a bachelor's program, perhaps, or you might need to do a professional certificate to get some background in PLC and SCADA before you go into an IA industrial automation program. So there are different pathways that we can explore together if you don't meet your direct entry. So please speak to our course advisors. But here, as you can see, we've got a huge number of different course pathways, depending on whether you've got 3 months to spare and you want to upskill in something quickly, or you've got a bit more hands in your time and you want some sort of a formal qualification to get that promotion or get upskilled. Just depends on what you want to do. There are sometimes students who take a 3-month course, and then depending on the course that you complete, you may be able to get some credits towards some of the higher education courses as well. So just depends on what courses you're doing. So the professional certificates are short 3-month courses and they are not accredited. However, these programs, the diplomas all the way to the Doctor of Engineering programs, these are accredited programs under both the vocational education and training sector as well as the higher education space. And yeah, we have different disciplines of them, so you can go through our website to look at all the different disciplines. The diplomas are 12-month courses typically, and then you can go into an advanced diploma, which are 18 to 24 months. Then there are these so-called micro degrees, or part of a degree, which is your undergraduate certificates. They are actually part of our bachelor degrees, but the beauty of the undergrad certificates is if you are not sure of committing to a full bachelor degree, which takes 3 years, you can do a 6-month course, which is about 4 units that you take. That is part of a bachelor degree program. Take it to see if you like what you're studying. Maybe it's the discipline, or maybe you want to test whether or not you're able to cope up with the workload, or whether or not you like the delivery model. And then once you complete that successfully, if you're interested, you can go into the Bachelor of Science, the 3-year program. And what will happen is you will get credited for the 4 units that you've completed under the undergraduate certificate, because they are part of the bachelor degree program. Similarly, the graduate certificate and graduate diploma are part of the master degrees. And again, you can pace yourself how you want to do it. You can do a graduate certificate first and then a graduate diploma and progress into a Master of Engineering. Or if you have started a Master of Engineering, but for whatever reason you have to postpone your commitment, you may be able to exit with a graduate certificate or a graduate diploma, depending on what units and which units you have completed. Again, those things are available in detail on our website as well. I want to touch a little bit on studying online. Because some of the students might want to understand how the online methodology works. So we do have a unique online delivery model, and I'll go through some of the specifics in detail. So we have a blended delivery approach where, when you're enrolled online, you go into a learning management system, which is an online platform where all the resources that you need for completing your particular unit that you're enrolled in are hosted. There you will see things like your lecture notes, sometimes pre-recorded lectures, and you've got your access to our e-library, access to our online and remote laboratories as well. And what you can do there is you will go through some of the reading materials, and then you will attend live tutorial sessions, like similar to the platform we are using. So you'll either use Teams or Big Blue Button for your live and interactive tutorials. You can interact with your lecturers, ask questions, and the lecturers will be sharing their screen to not just go through slides, but also demonstrate software, as well as the remote laboratories that we've got. So you have that interactive and learning session. And again, these are from the international pool of lectures you've got. So your lectures might be from different parts of the world. It's not only from Australia or Perth. You have lecturers that are from Spain or USA or India. It just depends on which units you're taking. There's also dedicated learning support officers, and now this is a very nice, I would say, addition to your learning journey, and I'll speak a little bit more about the learning support officers and their role in detail. And similarly, I'll talk next about our remote laboratories as well. So on top of that, similar to what we're doing today, there's a lot of free technical webinars that happens at EIT, and that's about, you can see about 2 to 3 technical webinars that's present free for public, free for students. And I would strongly suggest and recommend students to undertake and take part in these things, because they give you a lot of technical information, up-to-date information of what's going on in the industry, and it's completely free. And I was telling the students this morning, I wish I had this kind of access to resources when I was doing my engineering degree, because it doesn't matter whether you're an electrical or mechanical, you can attend any topics. You can attend topics on civil engineering or artificial intelligence, or the latest updates in the MATLAB software, whatever it might be, the technical presentations are, it's free and open. We also have an extensive e-library collection, which we continue to add on to. And again, that's available for students, where you have access to journals, the textbooks that you require, as well as technical manuals and standards that for the courses you're doing as well. Now, before I continue further, I'm just going to check if there is any specific questions here. Okay, some of the ones, yeah, I will.
There's some awkward ones about HNDs and high national diplomas and stuff, which are and also internships.
Yeah,
Probably
those are
internships we can cover later.
Yeah, those are some very specific questions. What I would suggest is some of the questions, if they are a little bit tricky or very specific to particular student, we can address them through email. Just connect with one of our course advisors. Yeah. Right. I want to touch a little bit more on our remote and virtual laboratory. So quite a few of you might ask, if I'm studying a program, especially like engineering, which is practical online, how do I then get the practical experience? Now, in today's world, we are connected through Internet of Things. I mean, even this webinar is taking, miles apart. You guys are in different continents, and I'm in a different continent, but we are able to join and connect and share information. But when it comes to practical, and similarly, for example, you can see most of even the mining companies here in Western Australia, a lot of the things are controlled remotely. Even the mining trucks are controlled remotely from the central business district, and then your mines are like thousands of kilometers away. So a lot of things are connected by Internet of Things. So we do have remote and virtual laboratories to complement the theoretical side of things that you study. Now, the beauty of this virtual and remote laboratory is that you can either connect to physical equipment and see what happens through the computer. You can see what's happening. We connect them with webcams, and there is a computer interface where you can, code your PLC, make the changes, run it, and see what happens to the PLC that's on the other side of the screen. We also host softwares on our servers here. Now, again, the reason that we host the software ourselves and not ask you to download in your computers, because if you can imagine, some of the engineering softwares are quite powerful, which means you need a high performance computers, and not everyone will be able to have a high performance computers at their home. Most of us use laptops or iPads or mobile phones. By hosting the software on our end, you're able to just log in. You don't have to worry about maintenance. You don't have to worry about viruses or whatever it is. You can log into our systems 24/7 from anywhere, anytime, and you can perform your experiments. You can practice them as many times as you want. And again, if you break it, it's not your problem. We will fix it for you. So you do have access to these things. Now, for some students, because you may not work in the relevant field, or you're currently not working and you're studying online, you may not get the physical hands on, like, using nuts and bolts or preparing a concrete mix, for example. You do have the opportunity to join us on campus. We do run practical hands-on workshops twice a year. These are 4-week intensive workshops, and you don't have to do all 4 at the same time. You can do one a year. And what these internship workshops do is to expose you to specific practical experience. So it can be concrete mixing, it could be surveying, welding, soldering, programming a PLC, whatever it might be, depending on the discipline that you're studying. Steve, do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, thanks, Indu. I mean, certainly, people always think that online colleges are purely online. There's no physical, touchy-feely stuff. But, that's a huge mistake to think about EIT. We are really very focused on real world practical outcomes. So as Indu says, if you're a civil engineer, unfortunately, you can't get concrete on your hands on a computer. So you really do need to get that physical experience. So you don't necessarily need to come to our campuses to do the experiments or the 4 weeks. As Indu says, you can produce proof or some demonstration according to our list of requirements. We have very specific requirements about the practical exercise you have to do. So, for example, this morning I was telling everyone, something simple like using a screwdriver and a multimeter is absolutely critical, and you don't necessarily see that on a computer. So we physically need you to do those sort of hands-on experiences, and you need to produce RPL or recognized prior learning to show that you actually have used a screwdriver, you have used a multimeter, or if you're in electrical, or you've worked with concrete if you're a civil engineer. Those are the sort of things we expect you to sort of get a grasp on. And it is very much a practical hands-on environment. And, so any idea that is purely online, purely computer, no, it's more than that. We go far more than that, because we are regulated by a multinational group of engineering regulators, Engineers Australia being one of them, and they are very particular about practical knowledge. So we have to demonstrate, and Indu's got a reckoning in a few weeks' time where we've got a group of about, I don't know how many, 10 people coming onto our campus to check us out, pick away through our labs, look at our exercises, talk to our students, say, hey, did you do the right thing? So we've really got to be absolutely precise here. But back to you, Indu.
Thank you, Steve. Yep, we do have Engineers Australia General Review coming up later part of the month, and I'll explain a little bit more when I go through accreditations. Now, I mentioned previously about our learning support officers, and this is one of the, I would say, a special feature of the programs here at EIT, whether you're doing an accredited professional certificate short course, or you're doing a vocational education and training course, or a higher education program. You would have a learning support officer attached to you throughout the course. Now, the learning support officers are in addition to your academics, your lecturers and instructors who are teaching you a module or a course. And what the learning support officers are here to do is to guide you from the onboarding process, from your orientation all the way to graduation. It is slightly different depending on the programs. For example, in vocational education, which is your diplomas and advanced diplomas, you have one learning support officer from the start to the finish for all the units that you're doing. Whereas for the higher education course, you will have a different learning support officer for the different units that you undertake, just because of the different way that we deliver in terms and in block mode for the vocational education. Now, these are the people who are going to support you, who are going to follow up if you're not turning up for classes, to make sure that you've got the right support, or if you need any additional support to make sure that you are successful in your studies. Sometimes it may be a phone call, and sometimes it may be through email. But if you have any issues that are non-academic that you need some assistance with, your learning support officers are your first point of contact. And even if it's an academic question, but you're not able to perhaps get in touch with your lecturer quick enough, again, send a message out to your learning support officer and they'll be ready to help you. We have learning support officers based in quite a few different parts of the world, just to make sure that students from different countries are being covered and supported in the different time zones that are available as well. So that's one of the unique support systems that we've got in place. On top of that, you also have additional student support to do with, if you want to talk about mental health issues, or you want additional support for how do you, prepare for an interview and whatnot. We do have student support officers and support sessions available to you as well. Now, a little bit about, this is just tooting our horn, but in our QUILT surveys, which is the quality indication for teaching and learning survey, which is all the universities and higher education providers in Australia take part. In the last 3 years, we've always come on top for the provider for students' overall satisfaction, for graduate full-time employment, top 3 for educational experience, and top 3 for student support. So we are proud and we strive for making sure that we give the best for our students. So there's no, ifs and buts. We always strive for the best, and students are in the center of what we do. Steve, do you want to add anything to here?
Yeah, thanks very much, Indu. I just wanted to go back to that previous slide, actually. I just want to, these learning support officers are absolutely unbelievable. And I think we sort of stumbled into them by, I suppose, when we were looking at trying to give students support. And they really are an amazing bunch of people. And I suppose learning support is really a feature of the fact that we are in the 21st century. And you don't just get lecturers, academic lecturers writing on whiteboards anymore. That time is long since gone. Lecturing, for 45 minutes, while the students just listen there and it's a one-way simplex transmission, those days are long since gone. So you really have people that need to, let's use the magical word curate. I like that word curate. Curate the resources which are given out to you from our learning resource department. And those learning support officers are there to actually make sure that we spread the materials out, the resources out to the right people. So they are a feature of the 21st century, because that's the modern world. You don't just have lecturers lecturing anymore. You only have lecturers doing tutorials. There's no point in lecturing because you can go to YouTube now. So it's really important to see the learning support officers. They're almost as important, sometimes more important than the lecturer, the academic, because they are there for you. And in fact, we've done quite a few presentations to universities saying, hey, brother and sister, this is what you should be doing. You should be having learning support officers, LSOs. They are the secret weapon to success. And the universities say, yeah, it's a good idea, but mate, we haven't got money and stuff like that. So, but jokes aside, they are really useful and they do give you that wonderful warm fuzzy. And then obviously, as Indu says, really our big focus always has to be on satisfaction. And as I said, really the student is sovereign. We treat you as humans, not as numbers. We can't afford to have 200 or 300 in a classroom. That doesn't happen anymore. We have about 20, 25 in a classroom, unless there's some exceptional circumstance that's happened where suddenly all the students are in one class. But in a virtual classroom, we have very small numbers because we believe it's really important for the instructor to have a tutorial, not a lecture. Lectures are not a good thing. And then obviously, as Indu has suggested, we really are very focused on sort of jobs, because that's ultimately what the world is about. And, the days of going to a campus for 4 years, learning about Greek philosophy and then doing an engineering degree and maybe some other nice English literature courses, they're great. I mean, there's no doubt. But unfortunately, today people want good jobs with their degrees. And we believe the surest way to do that is to get straight from school into a job as soon as possible. In an online world, hopefully you can do your degree. So we think that's probably the name of the game today. People are after good jobs, and unfortunately degrees don't always provide that. So we do spend a lot of time agonizing over how we can get our students into jobs. We can't guarantee jobs, no one can, but at least you can make it very attractive to employ EIT graduates. And we get every week, Indu will perhaps confirm to you, we get good stories coming in to motivate our staff because, hey, I've got a good job here or got a promotion here. That's the sort of thing that really fires us up. I think that's really all I wanted to say there, Indu. Thanks for giving me that jump there. And I'll pass the baton
Thank you,
back
Steve.
to you.
Yeah,
you.
thank you, Steve. Yeah, no, as Steve mentioned, we do get satisfaction from listening to the good stories from students, be it whether they've got a promotion or whether they've actually completed now a course because the learning support officers have been there pushing them and encouraging them to finish a course. So we do pride ourselves on that and feel very happy when we see those, thank you emails coming from students, or when we see students at graduation. We do have a graduation coming up later this year in November 1st in Perth. And yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing some of our wonderful graduates in there. I want to touch a little bit on the accreditation side of things. So quite often people want to make sure that the qualifications that they're undertaking or the college that you're getting involved with are, legitimate and accredited. So we've been a registered training organization, an RTO, since 2008, where we have been given, we have the authority to deliver vocational education and training programs. So that's our diplomas, advanced diplomas, and graduate certificates. And we've been an institution of higher education since 2014. So that's for our higher education courses, regulated by the TEXA, Tertiary Education and Quality Standards Agency. And that's for our undergraduate certificates, graduate certificates, grad dips, bachelor's, master's, and a doctorate program. And just recently, when I say recently, it's about more than a year now, we've been provided self-accrediting authority, which means that we have the governance and processes in place to make sure that we can follow our course development policies and procedures, and then we can develop the courses ourselves. It's not, again, not an overnight thing that we can, put a new course. There is a course approval process as well as a rigorous process of engaging with industry to make sure that, what we are delivering is of high quality. We've been a fee help provider for higher education since 2017. This is mainly for the local students here. as well as CRICOS registered since 2018. So this is for students who want to come and study with us on campus here in Australia, and that's for whether it's in Perth, Melbourne, or Brisbane. We have CRICOS accreditation. We also have vet student loan approval since 2021. And Indigenous Australia accreditation. So this is the International Industry Body accreditation, and I'll go through the next slide to go through in details. And these accreditations are in 3 different accords, International Engineering Alliance Accords. So you have your Dublin Accord, which is for engineering associate level, and these are for our advanced diploma programs. So there are 3 programs currently which are in full accreditation. So we've got the Diploma of Industrial Automation, Advanced Diploma of Applied Electrical Engineering, as well as the Advanced Diploma of Civil and Structural, which are full accreditation. And we also have 2 other programs which are currently under provisional accreditation. And hopefully with the upcoming review in end of October, we will be going through a process where we would be wanting to convert these from provisional to full. And yeah, we should have some news about it by the first quarter next year on the outcomes of these. And then we also have our bachelor degree programs, which are for the engineering technologist or the Sydney Accords. And all our 4 bachelor degrees are fully accredited under the Sydney Accord. And these are accredited for both online as well as for on-campus delivery in our Perth campus. Now, there are information available online if you want to go and see which countries have mutual recognition for these International Engineering Alliance Accords. So what that means is if you are completing a accredited qualification here in Australia, and you've got membership recognized as an engineering technologist in the Sydney Accord, you can, for example, go and work in Ireland, and that will be recognized directly, and you don't have to do additional steps to be recognized as an engineering technologist there. And similarly, we've got professional engineer or Washington Accord accreditations for some of our programs. And again, these are for different programs, have different levels of accreditation in different modes. So for Master of Electrical Systems, we have full accreditation for online as well as Perth campus, and we are adding our Melbourne campus later this year. For Master of Engineering, Industrial Automation, Mechanical and Civil, we've again got different accreditation levels, full and provisional for these 2. And again, this is for both online delivery as well as on-campus delivery at Perth and Melbourne campuses. Now, Brisbane campus is fairly new, but next year we'll be working towards getting the programs accredited in the Brisbane campus as well. Now, after all this, if you still have question of why study with EIT and why choose EIT, just quick summarizing points. So obviously our qualifications are industry internationally endorsed as well as industry endorsed and Australian qualifications as well. They are practical and they are driven by industry. And again, you can see from the student feedback on our website or student stories, they are very well aligned courses. Students get promotions, students get jobs right out of school. And we've got lots of on-campus students as well being placed in full-time roles before they complete the programs. We have instructors and lecturers who present for you from different parts of the world, which means you do get a global perspective, as I mentioned before. And we do have a range of programs accredited with Engineers Australia, which has that mutual recognition and global mobility. Access to an enormous amount of reference materials and research materials. And I do want to add here that for very motivated students, there is a lot of resources available for free. It's only limited by your motivation and the time. But otherwise, there's a lot of resources available for you, and you can utilize them. For our remote labs, for example, we've got over 29 remote labs available online, and it's not limited to you by the course you do or specific softwares that is for your specific course. You can actually log on and see what are the softwares available, and you can give a go at any software that you want to try. Okay. We do have a very supportive learning environment, from our learning support officers to our lecturers to student support services. There's a lot of support available for you. And like I mentioned before, our focus is purely on engineering and technology, which means we are able to provide and make sure our resources in this particular field is of high quality. There's a lifelong learning journey. Like I said, you can weave in and out, do different courses, and make your way all the way up to a Doctor of Engineering if you like. And we've had quite a few students undertake a journey from diploma all the way to a Doctor of Engineering. And last but not least, we are committed to equity and equality, and we are committed to women in engineering. And we do have a lot of, we are having increasing number of female students join our courses, as well as female staff as well. Over to you, Steve, if you want to add anything.
Thanks very much, Indu. Yeah, I just I see there's a huge number of questions and stuff that are popping up there. Yeah, I mean, I suppose one of the challenges always with engineering, as we said at the beginning, it's a hard course to follow. If you want to do an easy academic qualification, go and do business or marketing or something. Perhaps some business people won't like me saying that. Maybe do a degree in fine art or something, which you may find more easier, but certainly it's a tough area to get into. But we do have an amazing number of women, and it's well overdue, because I think women are about 10% of engineering I think 10% in Australia anyway, only about 10% of women
It's
do
about
engineering.
14 now. Yeah.
14%, yeah, it's horrific. It's very, very low, and it's probably a lot of huge bias, as we know, without attacking any particular group. There's been a lot of bias, and obviously the other thing which we need to do with engineering is diversity. We need people from all over the world, and it is just magical that we've got students from 160 countries, every color, every religion. We're all on board studying engineering and, really getting out there, building, contributing to the communities. And that to me is just fabulous to see. And when we do these road shows, we meet our graduates, and some of them are just doing absolutely amazing things. Hydroelectric schemes in dams, building hospitals, roads, the list just goes on. And honestly, it's really great to see these qualifications all over the world with a very strong, as Indu says, we really focus on the practical outcome. And as I said this morning, I mean, I love talking about fast Fourier transforms and, writing a little program or using a bit of software there to write it. But at the end of the day, it's all good and well having a fast Fourier transform. But the question is, how do you apply it to your engineering application? And that is what matters. And hopefully we do bring that on board with our academics. Probably a big chunk of our academics are practical, focused on working in industry. So they actually do incentivize students when they say, look, I'm working. Obviously, it is important to have a theoretical background as well. You can't be an engineer without a good, solid understanding of mathematics. And Indu, I was reading, I was quite surprised actually. I was reading that numbers, the Arabic, so I used to refer to them as Arabic numerals 0 to 9, or from Arab thing, but I understand they're actually originally Indian, from
Yes,
India. So
it is.
I was quite surprised. I've been told, enculturated for years, that it's all Arabic, and it replaced the ghastly Roman numerals, but it's actually originally from India. Anyway, so, we really do need to show more appreciation for the diversity of the world and mathematics from a mathematical point of view. So certainly that's an exciting place to be. I think there's a lot of questions there, and some of the questions are interesting ones. I mean, the important point to make early on was the labs. We have 4 weeks of labs because we have to show our accrediting bodies, Engineers Australia, who, by the way, are extremely precise and very rigorous about whether we satisfy the requirements for international recognition. And we have to show clear evidence that you have done your concrete work or your work with welding or whatever. We have to have evidence. So certainly there are some students that are working in industry and probably know more than most university professors from a practical point of view. So they would have good evidence. And as long as they've got evidence, we're fine. As long as it's not biased evidence, ChatGPT constructed evidence, we're happy. So, you can be anywhere. And obviously, the graduations are generally in South Africa and Australia at the moment, but we are we can't advertise this yet, so I'm telling you this in a naughty way, but we are hopefully getting accreditation in the UK, or England, should I say, and there will be graduations there in the future, but not for the next few years. And the graduations are incredible events. I must say that joy and the celebration is just absolutely surreal when you meet the graduates, and most importantly, you meet their families. I mean, it's just amazing. And I mean, even in Johannesburg in December last year, we had the CEO of Exit Engineering Council of South Africa present. She's an aeronautical engineer, and I mean, the celebration and joy was quite surreal. I would also like to say to you now, and we're doing these presentations, but we are not trying to hard sell you on engineering. We don't want to try and convince you to do something you shouldn't be doing. So you've got to think about the school you go to, the university, the college you go to. We're not Fakari Persian rug salesman trying to sell you a better Persian rug. That's not our model. We want you to be suited to do the engineering. We want you to be successful because we get measured on your success by the Australian government. So we have to only take you on if you can succeed. So I just want to make that point very strongly, that we want you to be successful. We don't want to just take you on if you're not going to make it. So you must think about this very, very carefully. I think that's really all from me. There's a lot of questions there. Indu, I don't know if you want to, should we answer a few of those?
Yeah, I've been typing a few of them, but maybe this one I can take, which is asking
There's
about.
quite a few there, I think.
Yeah, there's one.
Chippy, what do you think? What do you think? You've been answering some of them as well, I noticed. So you've been answering some very clever ones, actually. The graduation was virtual. That's very clever. That's true. I never thought about that, but yeah, we do have virtual graduations as well.
So I can cover some of these questions from a course advisor perspective, Steve, especially the questions that are relating to admission at EIT, as well as how will people study from different parts of the world. So just to go over a few of those questions just in one bunch. If you're looking to study online, you can study from anywhere around the world. As mentioned, we have over 160 countries that we cover, meaning that we have students from all of those 160 countries. So you can study online. We have tutorials that will happen depending on the program that you are looking to apply for. That could be weekly or daily. For the HE courses, it's several times a week. For the advanced diploma courses, it could be once a week, or the diploma courses, VET courses, and then the professional certificates could be weekly or bi-weekly. However, regardless of where you're based, you're able to study. If you're studying online, you will submit your application through our application portal, which is Paradigm. Applications are completely free, so you would not be paying a dime. All you would need to do is create a profile with us, and then you'd be able to complete your application on there. Now, people who are looking to study on campus, this one is quite different. You'd go through it by the means of an educational agent. They would be the ones who are able to assist you with an application to study in Australia at one of our 3 campuses. Of course, there's entry requirements to both those sets. However, they differ in terms of whether you'll be studying online, on campus, and of course, which program you're looking to study for. But we do have a dedicated team of course advisors who would be happy to answer these questions for you. What I will do is I will put the links to the Calendly bookings. A booking is an appointment that you make with our course advisor team. They will call you at your specified time and go through any questions you might have regarding you studying with us at EIT. I'm hoping that covers majority of the admissions questions, but again, I will put the link in the description as well as in the chat box and Q&A section. You guys can just reach out to a course advisor. They will call you and go through the application process here at EIT. That's it from my end. You guys can go ahead regarding the technical questions.
Thanks very much, Chippy. You're very proficient there in terms of answering extraordinarily professionally. I'm a bit intimidated by that. Thank you very much. It's quite a mouthful there. And certainly we around to talk to you. Obviously, one of the concerns people have is when they get called on their phones that it must be a fraudulent call, and hello, I want to sell you some insurance, or I want to give you lots of money. But you know, we aren't, as I said before, we're not trying to hard sell you on these courses. You need to think about them very carefully. But if you can accomplish an engineering degree with us or any other reputable university or college, you know, you're in a good place. So you won't, I don't believe you'll regret it. I suppose the one comment I would say is that when I did my engineering degree a long time ago, and you won't want to know how long ago it was, people didn't really think about continuing education, but certainly you always need to think about that. You know, once you get your degree or your diploma, you need to continue further. It is important to understand that, and it's not educational learning isn't necessarily going on a course. It's just working with someone who's a good peer or a mentor or a buddy who knows something about a particular topic. So, you know, you may need to get up to speed with something, but it is an ongoing process you will do in engineering till the day you die. And that's very important to realize. Engineering is changing all the time, which is great. It makes it more interesting and makes it more useful. Certainly, as you get older, you get more knowledgeable about engineering. The basic principles are not going to change. A Fourier transform is a Fourier transform, won't change, but certainly your skills of applying it will change, and that's really important to realize. I mean, I was quite intimidated, as I was saying to Indu a few weeks ago, when you see the whole world of programming. So one day you could do programming, next minute you find that ChatGPT writes programs for you. You say, oh, and one of my nephews in London said he used to have 3 or 4 programmers working for him. He has one now because they can troubleshoot and do things a lot quicker. You still need to know all about programming, but you can do it a lot more productively and efficiently. So the world is changing very fast. So it's a lot of opportunity there. And certainly things like writing a press release or a write-up or summary of a meeting, that's all changing because ChatGPT or the equivalent can do that for you very quickly. Perplexity is another one that does it very, very quickly. Anyway, I've spoken enough. Indu, you want to say something and add
Thanks,
to
Steve.
that?
Yeah, so there's a few questions here on basically, again, admissions and entry pathways. And again, I would strongly recommend that you either connect with one of our course advisors or look through our website. Or additionally, for some of you, for example, there's one student who's got a bachelor in mechanical engineering, want to do a master of industrial automation. I would say do an application process through. And if there are any gaps, our admissions team will let you know the best pathway forward for you to actually undertake the master of industrial automation. But again, this whole week we've got different sessions in the virtual open week. So please do join those sessions, especially if you're looking to join a master's program or a bachelor's program. Join those specific sessions so that both the course coordinators and the course advisors there can give you specific information. Thank you.
I think, Indu, we've got Peter Doe here. We've got one of our academic board members, Dr. Peter Doe, is online here, and he's obviously come to check on us. Thank you, Peter. Very kind of you. Peter, can you give us a dissertation about how you tie your practical? Peter's actually, I just want to tell you now, he was on a board meeting, our academic board, which I report to. They check that we do everything right by the students in terms of the theory and the practical. And he was doing the interview from his boat in Tasmania, which is a little island off the coast of Australia. It's part of Australia. A lot of the Americans think it's a separate country. And I think some of the Tasmanians think they're in a separate country, but it's part of Australia. And he was telling me all about stripping down the diesel engine. He's a mechanical engineer, by the way, a PhD in mechanical engineering, stripping down his diesel engine. So that's someone who's got a huge amount of theoretical knowledge, but actually applies it practically. I don't know, Peter, if you want to say a few words about that, if you're still with us, you may say no, under no circumstances.
I think he
I
just
would
left,
have to.
unfortunately.
I
Steve.
did leave.
Oh,
Okay,
there you
yeah,
go. You
sorry.
chased
Okay.
them away, Steve.
Trust me, but that's one of our academics who's very theoretical, but extraordinary practical,
Oh, no, Peter's
stripping
here.
down a diesel engine.
Oh, no.
It's quite.
I think he is here.
Oh, is he? Yeah. Peter, do you want to say a few words about tying practice to theory? Sorry to
Riley, will you give him control?
jump you.
Very definitely. I don't know if you can see me, but I'm not on the boat now. Yeah, look, it's engineering, as you said, Steve, is it's a profession. It's really marvelous that you can actually work and do things which you're interested in and have some practical benefit. And if you are able to join the theoretical knowledge that you have with your practical skills, but also the management side of things, if you're able to converse with other people, with as you said, with different parts of the world, different religions, working in teams. I mean, all this sort of thing that you can get from being an engineer. And it's just something that, I mean, it's been my career, it's been my life, and even to the extent of being able to pull apart a diesel engine now and put it back together again. So that's the sort of thing that I quite enjoy doing, and I'm very happy to be associated with EIT, and I can bring forward some of my experience.
Thanks so much, Peter. And Peter, by the way, has worked. He doesn't just live in Tasmania. He's worked all over the world, and he's a PhD in mechanical engineering, as I said. So he's huge knowledge, and he's taught at many universities, and he's on our academic board. So we have two boards at EIT. One is called the academic board, which check that we do the right thing by the students, and we do the right thing by the degrees and the diplomas we offer. And also we have a governance board, which is right at the top, and they check that the college itself is running correctly with probity, and we are also protecting the students. So we are very tuned into the student outcome. And thanks so much, Peter, for commenting. I'm sorry to ad lib like that. It's always a bit risky. And just one thing I just wanted to mention, actually, we spoke about degrees quite a bit, but just bear in mind, I always remember about 5-6 years ago, we had a guy who finished a PhD in electrical engineering, University of Manchester, and I couldn't think of a more sort of prestigious engineering university. It was University of Manchester Institute of Science and Technology, and he said, I want to do your advanced diploma in electrical engineering. And I said, John, why on earth would you you got a PhD in engineering? He said, I need to get a job, and these advanced diplomas are very practically focused. Within 18 months, I can get some really good, useful, practical knowledge. So don't ignore the fact that the advanced diplomas are absolutely critical as well. So if you're doing if you've done an engineering degree and you want to just swap over from, say, electrical, and you want to focus on industrial automation, you may just do an advanced diploma in industrial automation. You don't need to think of a whole 2-year master degree. You may do something less. So don't think degree only. The world in the future is going to be micro-credentials, which are professional certificates, advanced diplomas, as well as degrees. So they all contribute to the mix. So, it's not just one thing or the other. It depends who you are. Anyway, I've spoken enough. My thing this morning said, please do not be so repetitive and do not dominate the discussion. So please forgive me. Back to Chepi and Riley and Indu.
Okay, I think that wraps up our session today. A special thank you to Peter for joining impromptu after Steve roped him in. To Indu and Steve, once again, thank you so much, guys, for a very lovely session. Most of all, to our participants, it was a pleasure having you here today. As I've mentioned in the beginning, the slides and the recording of this webinar will be sent to you guys by Monday, the 21st of October, 2024. before. And then I have left the link to connect with our course advisors in order for you guys to discuss your study options with us at EIT. Without anything else, thank you so much, guys, for joining us. We hope that you are there for the remainder of the week. We will have other sessions. We actually have one right now at 9, so you can go ahead and join the next one. Barry will be presenting that. Thank you so much, guys. A lovely day to everyone, and goodbye.
Thanks so
Thanks,
much,
Seiko.
Sheppy, and thanks, Indu, and thanks, Riley. Always be critical in your thinking, everyone, and all the best with listening to the rest of the sessions. Be critical, ask us awkward questions all time, all day. Thank you very much, one and all. Really appreciate it. Cheers.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.